Great new day to all my self-care family and friends. Welcome back to the Room2Breathe Podcast. I'm your host, Life Coach 614, and I am so glad that you are here today. Now, before we jump into today's episode, just a quick reminder. If you're enjoying the vibe, show us some love by tapping the screen, liking, commenting, and sharing. Your support helps us to reach more incredible souls on their healing journey. And if we are not already connected, go ahead and hit that follow button. Subscribe to our channel so that way you never miss a moment of what's next. I also invite you to visit our website at theselfcareclub.org. We have some awesome affirmative apparel, motivational merch, and a bunch of free resources designed just for you. No matter what challenges you are currently facing, remember you are not alone on this journey. We are in this together, supporting and uplifting each other every step of the way. It is time for us to choose to prioritize our well-being, to embrace our growth, and to find peace in this present moment. So let's get ready to breathe, reflect, and grow together. And don't forget, the green hearts in our chat represent our commitment to healing, growing, and intentional self-care. So if something resonates with you today, drop a green heart to let us know that you are tuned in, tapped in, and growing with us. Let's get started. Who do we have here today? We got Miss Sherry in the building. I see Bren, Kale. We got Brooks in the house. Hey, girl, hey. How are we feeling this morning, Queens? Papa Smurf on the south side hanging out with us. So today, oh, hey, Miss Cardi, I see you in the building. Excuse me. So today I want to talk about the waiting season. Okay, y'all. It's Transformation Tuesday, right? And so I wanted to talk about a message in regards to the lessons that we learn in life, right? And understanding that sometimes the lesson is in the waiting season. Okay? It's like, if we're being honest, many of us are, not just familiar with waiting, but we're familiar to wrestling with it. We're always trying to make peace with the pause, right? We're trying to hold on to hope while everything around us seems to just be standing still. So let me ask you this. How many times have you felt like you were doing all the things right, but still nothing was shifting in your life? It's like you were praying, staying positive, going to therapy, you were journaling, drinking water, minding your business, right? And yet the breakthrough still didn't come. Maybe you sent out 50 job applications and not a single callback. Hey, buddy. Or maybe you've been, celibate, healing, setting boundaries, and the relationship that you thought would come still hasn't showed up. Maybe you finally had the courage to pursue your purpose, launch that business, publish that book, and step into your calling, but the recognition, the clients, the income, or even the confirmation feels like it is taking forever. Or maybe you're someone who's been sitting in your trauma, doing the shadow work, showing up for your inner child, and the peace that you were promised still feels out of reach. We got anybody who could feel that? Anybody who resonate with that? If so, you're not alone. Waiting seasons are some of the most uncomfortable, disorienting, and yet transformational times of our lives. I see you, Miss Sherry, girl. And the reason why it's like this is because, they challenge every single thing that we've been taught about productivity, worthiness, and success. What up, Chicken Wayne? Kale said, all in my life today. Listen, my bad, sis, my bad. Listen, y'all, I'm talking to me too. Okay? Because listen, the world tells us that motion equals progress, that doing more means being more, right? And, society tells us that if we're not moving, that we must be failing. But in the spiritual, emotional, and healing realms, we have to understand that healing, that stillness is sacred. Okay? Because transformation doesn't always look like movement. It doesn't always come with fireworks and public applause. It doesn't always show up with a huge congratulations, you made it banner. Sometimes transformation looks like silence. It looks like being in between what was and what's next. It looks like a version of you dying off just so a new version can be born slowly, painfully, and quietly, right? And I don't think that we talk about this enough, right? That in between space, the wilderness, the waiting room life, right? We fail to understand that that's where the becoming happens. What up, Miss Portia? In those moments, God is not absent. He's present, but he's not always loud. The universe isn't ignoring you. It's aligning you. And your healing isn't on pause. It's just in process. So we have to begin to understand that you're not being punished. You are simply being prepared for what's next. And I want you guys to listen to me. This waiting season time, that waiting season, it's not wasted. And I know that it may feel like nothing is happening, but that's a lie. And it's a lie rooted from your impatience and your ego. Because on a soul level, everything is happening. Your identity is shifting. Your character is maturing. Your capacity is expanding. Your discernment is sharpening. And your spirit is learning to trust without proof, to believe without evidence, and to stay grounded even when the winds of change are blowing wild. And so, we have to begin to understand that, this shift is necessary. The shift is necessary. And so, with this, we've got to, we really got to be real. That it's in this waiting season where you begin to realize where your faith really stands. Not everything's flowing, but when it feels like God hit pause on your entire life, you have to understand that that's a test, right? That pause is a test. And give me 1 second, guys. So sorry. Bear with me, guys. Having a slight technical hiccup here. There we go. We're back. Apologies, guys. We don't do trolls in our space. So where was I? We were talking about the pause, understanding that the pause is a test, right? Um, and one of the things that I've learned is that waiting season teaches you to surrender, not just the outcome, but the timeline. It teaches you to let go of your plan and embrace his divine timing. And, at this point, we stop forcing doors to open and we start trusting that the right ones will open in his time, right? And that we are going to be ready to truly walk through them at that time. Here's something that I want you to remember. God doesn't operate on a delay. He operates on development. So what feels like not yet is really not without growth. Yesterday we spent a lot of time talking about not yet. But we have to understand that somewhere in that not yet, if we are not growing, then it's definitely not going to happen yet. So what feels like being overlooked is often simply just being protected. And what feels like silence is sometimes his divine strategy. So we've got to understand you are not stuck. You are stationed on purpose for purpose. That cocoon stage isn't pretty. It's dark. It's lonely. It's tight in there. But without it, the butterfly never forms. So it's something that we must go through. And so if you feel like you're in that place right now, if your phone's not ringing, if opportunities seem dry, if your soul just feels tired, if you feel like your prayers are unanswered, I simply just want you to know that you're not being forgotten. You're being formed. You're not behind. You're being built. You're not in delay. You're in divine alignment. The waiting season is not a punishment. It's a process. And there's power in that pause. So breathe, lean in. There's a lesson hidden in this moment. And it's shaping you for the version of you that is ready to rise. Let's break it down even further, okay? Understanding that waiting is not a punishment, it's a preparation. So again, I'm going to pause. And I'm going to say it again for the people in the back. Y'all type it in the chat. Waiting is not punishment. It's preparation. And sometimes the reason that season hurts so much is because we've been taught to associate stillness with stagnation. Right? We think delay with denial. Quiet with rejection. But let me tell you something. Just because God is quiet in your life, it doesn't mean that he's absent from your life. Just because you can't see the fruit doesn't mean the seed isn't growing underground. That waiting season is sacred. Okay? It's like a sacred classroom for you. And it teaches us that, the lessons that movement can't hide, right? That it exposes what hustle hides. Exactly. It slows you down just enough for you to be able to confront yourself. Because when you're no longer distracted by all of the noise, the busyness, or the need to constantly perform, you're left with you. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your wounds, your patterns, your faith or lack thereof. So it's in the waiting that you find out what you are really made of, right? What you're really built on. Do you trust timing or do you trust your own agenda? Do you trust your healing process or are you just rushing to get to the end? It's in the waiting where discipline is born. Because when you force yourself to be still, or better yet, when you're forced to be still, You start learning how to show up consistently, even when there's no spotlight. You start building rituals, routines, resilience, not because someone's watching, right? But because you understand the assignment is internal. You learn how to keep showing up for yourself, even when there's no external validation. Even, when no one's looking, you learn how to keep writing, keep creating, keep praying, keep healing, even if nobody else is clapping. And honey, that is discipline. It's in the waiting that discernment is refined. When everything isn't moving fast, you begin to hear God's voice more clearly. You begin to recognize the difference between what's your ego and what's your elevation, right? You start to sense what's aligned and what's just a distraction dressed up in opportunities clothing. Because sometimes we are so desperate to escape the waiting that we attach ourselves to the wrong things just so we can feel like we're making progress, right? We start taking on jobs that we were never called to. We start accepting people in our life that we were never meant to build with. Environments that drain us instead of develop us. But the waiting is where you are sharpened, right? Where that no becomes a complete sentence. It will make you wise. It'll give you peace about letting things pass that aren't meant for you, because you start to understand everything good ain't good for you. It's also in this waiting that your identity is revealed. Who are you without the applause? Who are you when you don't get the promotion? When you don't get the relationship? When you don't get the recognition? Who are you when God says, wait? And your ego screams, nah, I want it now, right? Waiting will peel back the layers of the performance and make you look into the mirror. It's often in this season that you'll find the parts of you that still believe that love is earned, that success is rushed, that worth is based on results. Because waiting teaches you how to sit with yourself. Hey D, welcome in. Waiting teaches you how to heal your attachment to productivity. To love yourself without achievements. To believe that you are already enough, even in the not yet moment. Now, here's where things get real. Sometimes you're not being delayed. You're being developed. And I know I've said that before, but I really need that to sink in for you, to understand you are not being delayed. You are simply being developed. And that hits different when you've been in the waiting room of life for months, even years. When you've cried those tears and screamed, God, did you forget about me? When you've watched other people get the things that you've been fasting, praying, and prepping for. Right? It doesn't feel good. But what if I told you that your preparation season is setting you up for something bigger than you've ever prayed for? Because the truth is, if God gave you what you were asking for too soon, what would happen? You're going to mishandle it, right? You might idolize it. You might not be able to store it with wisdom, patience, and peace. You might still be operating from old habits and unhealed trauma that would sabotage every single thing that you thought was a blessing. So again, let's be honest. If, we've all prayed for something and then look back later and said, thank God that didn't happen back then, honey, because I was not ready, right? I was not ready. That's the grace of the waiting season. It protects you from premature success that would have crushed you. It guards your growth and ensures that you're not entering new rooms with old wounds. Because there are certain blessings that only come when your inner work is done. And that work, that healing, that pruning, that shedding, that evolving, that's your waiting season at work. So again, if you feel like you're in that season right now, don't rush it. Don't resent it. Don't shortcut it. Lean into it. Embrace it. Because that's where the real change is starting to happen. That's where your roots are growing deep. What up, Memphis? That's where your character gets redefined. And this is where your healing becomes embodied. Not just something that you talk about, but something that you walk out. I need for you to understand that if you are in that waiting season right now, that you're not being punished. You are being positioned. And when your time comes, and it will come, you'll be able to stand in it with clarity, confidence, and wholeness. Not just because it came easy to you, but because you earned it. Right? You earn that peace in the shadows. And that peace is priceless. I'll get a little personal with you guys for a moment. There was a season in my life where I felt like I was just standing still while the whole world just kept spinning around me. Right? I looked successful on the outside. I was showing up for everybody else. I was pouring into others, checking off all the boxes. But on the inside, I was exhausted. I was emotionally drained. Honestly, I was spiritually disconnected, creatively blocked, right? I was clapping for other people while silently questioning why my time hadn't come. I was encouraging others to heal while I was secretly avoiding the places in me that still hurt. I would show up every day, put on a brave face, but on the inside I was running on E. Right, DJ Butter? And the hardest part about this is that I didn't feel like I had permission to stop. I feel you, Queen. I feel you. And it's like when you feel like you just don't have the permission to stop. Like I didn't feel like I could just be me. Because I had built my entire identity around being the strong one, being needed, being productive. But deep down, I knew on the inside that something wasn't right. I had all of these visions and dreams inside of me, y'all. Songs, courses, events, even this podcast. But everything felt stuck. Like I was standing in a long, dim hallway, and all the doors I thought would open for me were locked. Every last door. And I prayed. Y'all, I was praying. I was journaling. I was crying. I was waiting. I was asking God, what's next? What do you want from me? But all I kept hearing was be still. And if I'm honest, that frustrated me. Because y'all, I'm a doer. I'm a goal getter, okay? I'm a planner. I like to move. But in that hallway, in this long stretch of stillness, something unexpected began to happen. I learned how to breathe again. I started peeling back layers of performance and reconnecting with who I was before the world told me who I had to be. I began to realize that my worth wasn't tied to my productivity and that I didn't have to constantly do to be of value. That simply being was enough. And so I sat in silence long enough for me to hear the noise in my own soul. And that meant I had to confront my tears. I had to face unhealed grief. I admitted the truth about where I had abandoned myself just to keep up appearances with others. And let me tell you something. That shadow work ain't for the weak. That inner work is brutal, but it is also beautiful. Because from that stillness, from those silent nights and tear-stained pages, from the brokenness that I could no longer outrun, Room to Breathe was born. Not in the flashy moments of success, not on some big stage somewhere, not with a mic in my hand and a beat playing in the background, but in the quiet moments, in the pause, in the waiting. That's when the lyrics started to flow. And this time it wasn't from my head, it was from my heart. Not just crafted to sound good, but created to heal. I started writing music, not to impress, but to express. And it was in that moment where I stopped trying to perform and I started learning how to feel, how to process, how to release. That season, which I once thought was holding me back, turned out to be one of the most transformative, intimate, and creative moments in my life. It reconnected me with me. And so here's what I found. That pause that I was experiencing wasn't empty. It was sacred. It wasn't lost time. It was alignment. That season taught me how to show up for myself and to do so in a way that I always showed up for others, right? It taught me how to rebuild not just my brand, but my being. And that rebuilding, that rebirth, that's what birthed this entire movement, this message, this platform. Room to Breathe project wasn't built in motion. It was born in stillness, in the surrender, in the obedience, in the silence. So again, if you're in your waiting room now, know that I see you. I feel you. And I want you to know that you're not behind. You're not forgotten. You are being formed. And so I encourage you to trust your pause because there is purpose in it. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen at all. I need for you to understand that sometimes the delay is the blessing. Sometimes the not yet is actually God's mercy. We live in a world that is addicted to speed, right? Quick results, instant gratification, fast answers. We want Amazon Prime for our healing. We want DoorDash for our dreams. We want to microwave miracles. But kingdom timing, that's not how it works. God isn't in a rush. He's in the business of refinement. And I've learned, sometimes painfully, that what looks like a delay on our timeline is actually a setup in the spirit. It's divine protection, divine preparation, divine positioning. There were doors that I prayed to walk through years ago. And now I look back and I'm so grateful that they did not open when I wanted them to, y'all. Because honestly, I wasn't ready. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't ready for that. I didn't have the boundaries needed. I didn't know who I was without the titles and the trauma. Right, Slice? I hadn't built the capacity to carry what I was asking for. And let's be honest, we all love the idea of elevation, right? But we don't always talk about the weight that comes with it, the responsibility, the spiritual warfare. So instead of being discouraged by the delay, maybe we need to start asking ourselves different questions while we're waiting. Maybe we need to ask ourselves, what is this season trying to teach me? What habits am I being called to break? What character is being shaped in me? What still needs healing before I step into this next season? Because the truth is, God won't give you what you're not prepared to sustain. Okay? He loves you too much to let you ruin what's meant to restore you. And I want you to trust me on this. When it's really your time, you won't have to force it. You won't have to chase it. You won't have to hustle for what's already been promised to you. The right opportunities will align with your healing, not distract you from it. The right relationships will recognize your growth, not require you to shrink. The right path will bring peace, not more pressure. So if you're in the waiting, if you're in the hallway between what was and what comes next, take heart. That not yet might just be heaven saying, I'm still working behind the scenes. Stay faithful. I got you. Because delayed does not mean denied. And when it finally comes together and you look back and you realize that that waiting wasn't wasted, that it was woven into your becoming, oh, it feels so good. So, so good. Yes, Sherry, yes. There are a few quotes that I recall. One says, the longer the wait, the greater the reward, right? Another one is, sometimes when you're in a dark place, you think you've been buried, but you've actually been planted. And then the last one, faith isn't just about moving forward. Sometimes faith is about standing still and trusting that the ground beneath you is enough. Now, let's breathe in some truth and exhale some doubt. I want everyone to take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. Again, inhale through your nose. Exhale from your mouth. Again, breathe in some truth. Exhale the doubt. Now repeat after me. I am not behind. I am right where I need to be. I am not behind. I am right where I need to be. I am not behind. I am right where I need to be. I trust the timing of my life. I trust the timing of my life. I trust the timing of my life. I will not rush what is meant to grow deep. I will not rush what is meant to grow deep. I will not rush what is meant to grow deep. I am being prepared for what I've prayed for. I am being prepared for what I've prayed for. I am being prepared for what I've prayed for. And the last one, even in the silence, I am becoming. Even in the silence, I am becoming. One more time. Even in the silence, I am becoming. Now, if any of these resonate with you, go ahead and drop a green heart in the chat. Let the community know that you're growing, that you're trusting, and you're transforming. Remember, we inhaled the truth. We exhaled doubt. We exhale pressure. We exhale negativity. Right? Because here's what I want you to walk away with today, fam. I want you to know deep in your heart that you are not behind. You are becoming. If we were all seated in a room together, I would say, look at your neighbor and tell them, you are not behind. You are becoming. The season that you're in, it's not random. It's revelation. It's revealing who you are without the noise. It's giving you the space to outgrow who you used to be and to lean into the next version of you. That fully healed, fully grounded, fully aware version of you. And yes, I know that the waiting can feel lonely. It can feel like nobody sees the work that you're doing behind closed doors. But don't you dare minimize this part of the process. Because fruit only grows after the seed has been buried. Welcome in, love. Roots develop in the dark, not the light. And that's where you are right now. You are rooting. You are rooting. You are growing. You are quietly expanding. You are not stuck. You're being strategically stretched. So today, excuse me, today we sip water, y'all. Hold on. Gotta stay hydrated. So today I encourage you to stop looking at waiting as time wasted. Start seeing it as sacred time. This is your preparation season. This is where your strength is being forged. This is where your clarity is deepening. This is where your prayers are being answered, even when you can't see the full picture yet. And when the moment comes, because trust me, it will come. You'll walk into it with so much peace, so much power, so much purpose that people will think that it happened overnight. Right, Janelle? But you'll know the truth, right? It happened in the waiting, in the quiet work, in the lonely nights, in the journaling, in the praying, in the healing. It will happen. So let's end with this affirmation today. I trust the timing of my life. What's meant for me is already aligning. I am not behind. I am being prepared. I honor my waiting season because I know I am becoming. I trust the timing of my life. What's meant for me is already aligning. I am not behind. I am being prepared. I honor my waiting season because I know I am becoming. I trust the timing of my life. What's meant for me is already aligning. I am not behind. I am being prepared. I honor my waiting season because I know I am becoming. Let that sit in your spirit this week. Now, as we close, I want you guys to remember this. Transformation is not always loud. It doesn't always look like progress. Sometimes it looks like stillness, like tears, like quiet prayers and unanswered questions. But don't dismiss the stillness. That is where your roots are growing. That's where your strength is built. That's where the real transformation begins. So if you are in your waiting season right now, just breathe. Be gentle with yourself and trust that it's not wasted time, that it's sacred time. Your wings are still forming, and when it's time, you will fly. I thank you guys for breathing with me today, Self-Care Family. If this episode spoke to your soul, be sure to come back and share it with someone who might need this reminder today. You never know whose waiting season could be transformed simply by your testimony. And remember, if you are interested in being a featured voice on our podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Reach out to me to further discuss the details and schedule your recording session. I encourage you all to stay connected by visiting our website at theselfcareclub.org for all things healing, growth, and empowerment. And as always, drop those green hearts in the chat if you're choosing to trust your journey, even in the quiet places. Until next time, I encourage you to keep breathing, stay positive, and remember that you will always be supported here at the Self-Care Club. So don't be afraid to take up space and make a little room for you to breathe. I pray that you all have an amazing day on purpose, filled with nothing but purpose, and I look forward to reconnecting with you soon. Thank you.